writing this on my phone while sitting in the locked bathroom. The silence outside is scaring me more than any noise would. My husband, Mark, was never a loud man. He moved gently, with purpose, always measured in his words. People called him polite, reliable, quiet. I used to love that about him. Now I'm terrified by it. It started small, a slip of behavior, so slight I nearly missed it. A Sunday morning like any other, and Mark was cleaning the garage. I brought him a mug of tea, and he startled when I opened the door, eyes wide, jaw clenched, like a child caught doing something he shouldn't. When he saw it was me, he laughed too quickly, brushing dust from his jeans. The mug trembled slightly in my hand. Later, I realized there was no reason to be startled. He knew I was home. But it's easy to excuse things when you love someone. You rewrite moments like that in your head, shave off their sharp edges. I told myself I'd surprised him, that maybe he was just lost in thought. I've told myself a lot of things. A few weeks after that, I found the first photograph. It was tucked into the back of the bottom drawer in his study, beneath a mess of old receipts and tangled cords. The photo was black and white, printed on rough paper. A woman, young, smiling, sitting on a park bench. Something about her posture seemed off, though. Forced. Her hands were stiff in her lap. I didn't recognize her. There was no note, no date. Just that one image, and something about it made my skin prickle. I waited for Mark to leave the house the next day and searched the drawer again. This time I found more. Dozens. Photos of women. All different, most smiling, some not. All printed in the same rough way, like they came from a dark room. All hidden. I didn't know what to think. Maybe he was a photographer once, or maybe he knew them from years ago. Maybe, but the expressions, the way the women looked into the camera, they didn't look happy. They looked posed. I didn't ask him. I couldn't. Instead, I started watching. He was always careful, nothing obvious. No late-night phone calls, no strange receipts. He kept his world airtight, clean. It made me question my own instincts, made me wonder if I was spiraling into paranoia. But the unease didn't go away. If anything, it grew stronger, like a shadow stretching in slow motion. One night, he kissed me goodbye like always, and clipped the dog's leash to her collar. I waited 2 minutes, grabbed my coat, and followed him. I stayed a good distance behind, walking slowly, pretending to be out for air. Mark walked toward the industrial park at the edge of our neighborhood, where the warehouses stood empty at night. He stopped outside a unit, looked around, then unlocked the door and slipped inside. I stood across the street for a long time, heart pounding in my ears. I didn't go in. The next day, I took a spare key from his drawer. It looked like a copy he didn't expect anyone to notice. I waited until he went to work and drove to the unit. The air inside smelled like bleach. There was nothing in the main room, just a table, a chair, a single hanging light. It looked like something out of a crime documentary. And then I saw the shelf. Dozens of folders. Inside, photos, notes, names, women, detailed information, where they lived, where they worked, what time they left their houses. I instantly recognized his handwriting, his tidy print, his numbered lists, the same lettering he used on grocery notes and birthday cards. One folder was marked with a red sticker. My name was written on the front. My breath caught, my hands shook as I opened it. There were photos of me. Some I remembered being taken, some I didn't even know existed. There were notes about my daily habits, about my work hours, my calls to my sister, the medication I'd taken after our miscarriage 2 years ago. I stood there, reading about myself like I was someone else's target. My stomach turned. It felt like walking into my own funeral preparations. I don't know how long I was in there. The nausea came in waves. At one point, I had to lean against the table just to keep from falling. A part of me wanted to scream, to run, to set the place on fire. Another part just stood there, too stunned to move. That night, I lay beside him in bed, wide awake. Mark slept soundly, one arm curled under his pillow, the other brushing my side. I stared at him, inches away, and felt something ancient and primal rise in my chest. This was a stranger. This man I'd made a life with. A man who had cataloged my every move. A man who had folders full of women. A man who kissed me goodnight with hands that held secrets. I watched him breathe. I thought about the nights we spent laughing over cheap wine, the way he held me when I cried after my father died, the vacations, the routines, the quiet dinners. All of it now felt like a carefully arranged play, like I had been living with an actor and I was the audience. And for the first time in our marriage, I felt afraid, not of being alone, but of being with him. In the morning, while he was showering, I called in sick. I kissed him on the cheek as we both sat on our ways. My skin crawled. I went back to the unit and took photos of everything. Every folder, every label. I brought them to the police anonymously. I didn't leave my name. I couldn't. I didn't want them tracing it back to me before I was ready. That was a week ago. Nothing's happened yet. No arrest, no news. Mark still goes to work. Still eats his oatmeal. Still sleeps next to me, unaware that I know. Or so I thought. Until tonight. I found a photo in my underwear drawer. A Polaroid, my face, sleeping, last night's pajamas. On the back, in his handwriting, always watching, he knows. And he's letting me know he knows. As I am writing this behind the locked doors, there are no sounds coming from inside the house. But I know he is at home. What is he waiting for? What is he preparing there for me? I don't know who to call. I don't know how much time I've got before he knocks on the door. I'm afraid the police will just laugh at me. Afraid they won't come fast enough. Afraid they'll come too late. But if you're hearing this, if you're watching the video, know this. He was never the man I thought he was, and I was never safe, even in my own home.